And you've got the agenda. I mean, not really much with the agenda, to be honest, and I don't rely much on it, apart from you making sure you do the questions and the breaks and whatever. If you do that, I'm know what to do there. Okay. All right. No, it's good. It's a good agenda. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Who do we have at the moment on the session? Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to jump on. We'll get started in about 5 minutes or so. Today, we're going to be talking about change of conditions, and I'm joined with a few people from the Martian platform. Got Eddie behind the scene from marketing, making all this happen. And we've got from the account management team, Jesse and Jasmine, and we've got our sales manager, Janine, as well, joined us, and we've got Cody as well. A lot of people from the from Martian Logic today. We're expecting awesome. We're expecting a lot of people to turn up. We've got over 100 people that registered. So even if we get 50% conversion rate, we're still going to get 50 users turning up. So it should be good. So looking forward to it. It's a very interesting topic. As I was saying, as I wrote yesterday with the reminder for the to register that we sent out to the users, it was very, very much natural for us to start to think change of conditions, back 3-4 years ago, as a follow through from the success of the onboarding. You hire someone, you onboard them, and by that time, you've captured all the information, the details of the offer during that process. And so it's a very good place to start when you want to make any change of conditions, such as a pay rise or extension of a contract, the dates of a contract, or whatever it might be, moving someone from casual to part-time, or moving someone from one team to another, which is what we call cross-boarding, as a distinction from change of conditions. So if you're trying to do any of that after you've hired someone, the platform already has all the details. Those offer details were captured. The fact that they are casual and the fact that they are on $25 an hour, etc., etc. So when you want to effect then a change of condition and you want to put this changed for approval by one or more people in the business, you're able to effortlessly and accurately show on the same form what the current payment contractual agreement with the employee and what you propose, the changes that you propose to make. So we started this person who are casual at $25 an hour, and now we want to move them to a part-time based on $6,000 for EFG. And they're going to be doing 3 days a week, and therefore the cost to us is going to be blah, blah, blah. So all that to be done in an accurate manner, and to utilize the workflow, all the power of the workflow that we have, in order to have that change approved by the right people in the business. And from there, to also use the power of the onboarding packs to create the right contract to reflect in the changes that you need to also have it signed internally, and then send it out to the employee to sign on it to make that change legal. All of that is already in the platform. So it was very, very natural to draw on all the strength of the different bits and pieces that we already built around over the last 10 years in the platform to roll out this module, which is the change of conditions / cross-boarding, as well as the off-boarding. Off-boarding is a very interesting topic as well, and I'm going to talk to you guys about a few very, very interesting innovations, especially in relation to the notification system that you need, for example, to ask people to make sure you do deprovisioning and returning of equipments and stuff like that. to be able to reuse all the automation system that you have in the onboarding packs, but without having an onboarding pack. You don't need necessarily an onboarding pack when you're offboarding someone, but you want to, in a sense, utilize the same powerful automation systems and reminders and stuff. So that's coming through very, very soon. I would say within 4 weeks, it should be up and running. And the other part there as well is some good news on the, so to speak, provisioning and deprovisioning and procurement. We're going to create a very solid module over the next few months, as opposed to, at the moment, you can do it. You can create custom fields and capture the requirements for the new employee when you're doing recruitment, and have the manager, when they are submitting the requisition, to specify what they feel they require. And then, but what you want is, right at the end, when you're offboarding someone, you want to remember all that. You want to then let IT know, for example, if it's provisioning, software provisioning or access provisioning, as opposed to, equipments also that need to be returned. Same kind of thing, very similar topic. You want that to be also a reliable, solid piece. We've got a plan to really do this really, really, really well. And so that's over the next few months it will be coming through, where you will have a library of all the different assets, for example, laptop, phone, etc., but also from the provisioning point of view, the different systems that the employees in your business can have access to, and you're able to tag the different positions that you have from the position library with the requirements. So when you're recruiting, that's even there, but the manager can customize that on the run. If they feel, oh, no, we don't need, this person doesn't need the access to that system, they can override, adjust on the fly, but they don't need to be starting from scratch all the time. And that means it will be, when you're offboarding that person many years, hopefully, to come, there will be always a knowledge of what they have and don't have, because also even during change of conditions and employee management, you can continue to refine what they have and don't have. And we will be taking this also very soon after that, maybe in the next 12 months, into a proper asset management, a very small, if you like, module of asset management. It doesn't have to be having all the bells and whistles, but get the foundation of being able to not just say it's a laptop, but the IT person, when they're doing the provisioning, to be able to take a screenshot, for example, a photo of the serial number, for example, and attach it against that asset. So there's a proper asset against the asset type. So that will be coming through as well. That will be really, really essential to the entire employee lifecycle management that we're really focusing on, if you like, now in the last few years at Martian Logic. That's perfect. I've kept us entertained in the last few minutes. It's 11 o'clock. We can get started now. Eddie, how do we kick off? Do we have a survey to start with, or is that all done?
So Jesse's going to go through that now.
Jess?
Yep, no worries. So we just have a poll to get started. We'll break the ice. What is the best decade of cinema? The 1960s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, or the 2000s?
That's an awesome question. I like it. I like it. I'm intrigued.
Ooh, the 2000s are going up there.
Okay. The 80s, the second horse in the race. Oh, wow. Quick adjustment. The 80s is winning now. All right.
Yeah, I think I'm with the 80s as well.
The big action movies. Yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah. Multi-million-dollar budgets and stuff like that. Wow, that's awesome. Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. And thanks, Jess, for the icebreaker there. So I guess we'll get started. What I'm going to do to get started, I'm going to do a run of how you would do a change of condition from the platform, and then we can then zoom into the bits and pieces of that process, if you like, and talk about how you set it up and the different options, and we take questions from you. So I've got here, I'm logged on to a test account, if you like, the one that we use for the webinar, fictitious data in here.
Share your screen.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Thank you very much. Start sharing, yep.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, did you, yeah, okay. So I hope everybody can see my screen. I'm just gonna start from scratch here. I'm gonna go to the org chart. It's a fictitious account based on a restaurant business. So I'm gonna go to Greta Goldsmith over here. She's the restaurant manager, and she is under the administration department, and she's working based on the Golden Grill in Sydney. And I'm going to open all the children node under that, and there's Eddie Stewart, who is the head chef that reports to Greta. So he's in the kitchen department in this particular location and is permanent full-time. This is the information that we determined, we customized that we would like to surface. You use this thing here to decide what information you want to surface out of the employee data, if you like, and different parts. Okay. So what we want to do here is start the change of condition from here. So you would go into the usual thing, this button here. For some of you who probably are new to this, they haven't seen the org chart, whether you're trying to recruit into a vacant position, or whether you're trying to effect change of condition or offboarding or crossboarding, or even recruit in a position where someone is already there, because maybe Eddie is leaving and you try and start recruiting in the same position. You can start that, and two people will be sharing the same node until whenever, if and when someone else leaves. So all of that is done from here. As you can see, recruit into this node, recruit for nodes under this, but there are none. That's why this is disabled. Crossboard, change condition, etc. It's all there. So we're going to choose the change condition. The only difference between crossboarding, I should probably explain it now, between crossboard and change of condition, the only difference is, for us anyway, the way we sort of classified it in the platform is, it's when that person's changing teams, as opposed to staying within the same reporting line, but all kind of employment conditions being changed. So for example, with the crossboarding, we make it easy for you to say, okay, where are they moving to? And you select visually, as you'll see in a sec, the node they are will be reporting to. So we make that visual. So you can see this one says, awaiting the selection of the new reporting line. So if I was to click on any of those, it'll say, okay, now I'll start the process for you, knowing that that's where they're going to go, and I'll continue from here. We're not going to do this right now, but that's really the only difference. We just make sure we give you the ability to tell us, okay, there's a crossboarding happening, so Eddie is going to be reporting someone else. Tell us who they're going to be reporting to, and then from there, everything will be the same, and that's the same is what I'm about to do now. So we're going to come back here and do a change of condition, and that is very similar to recruitment. You're just choosing which workflow, and the workflow will be tagged specifically for the purpose of change of conditions or crossboarding versus a recruitment workflow versus a offboarding workflow. So we've got three types. So because I'm doing change of condition, the platform will only show me the workflows that are tagged with that type, and that's the type there. So I go next. This is very similar to the recruitment, except here it's very, very different. This form, this humble form, looks like just an ordinary form. It must have taken about 2 to 3 years worth of work to get to where we are on there with it now. And the reason for that is when you're doing change of condition, it's about the person, and it's about what's happening right now with them and what changes you propose to make. And you want to put the approval that way to the approver. So as you can see here, I've selected that in this form, I wanted to keep it simple. I only wanted the position, and I wanted the engagement field, which captures all the remuneration. And so that's what you see on the left-hand side, showing you the current situation. It's already pre-populated. They are a head chef. It knows exactly what we're doing. We're making change of condition to this person who's a head chef. And it shows us this is the information because I've recruited them through the platform. And that's what was the conditions of the employment contract when we recruited them. So pre-populated what they are currently on, in other words. And on the right-hand side is what the changes are proposed to make. So if I want to change their position, for example, I can just business as usual search for any position that we want to move them to. Yeah, as long as in this case they're still reporting to Greta though, because we're doing change of condition. The engagement now we created, if really this is not changing, if maybe, for example, I just want to show you what that feature is. Let's say all it is, it's a fixed term contract and you just want to extend the terms of the contracts, just the dates of the start and end, then you don't want to have to bother with creating all of that information again. You can just copy them from the left to the right. And then it's just a matter of selecting the dates from here if that was a fixed term contract. So that becomes the effective date if it's a fixed term contract to extend it to. So in this case, it pre-populated everything. I can go back here now and make changes if I want. So for example, that I should have probably done it on the basis of that was maybe casual, we're going to move into full-time, but it doesn't matter. Let's just now do the purpose of maybe they're getting a pay rise and the salary is going to change to 75,000. And we change that. And now you can see that is in red about what the final salary is. And then we put the effective date for the position for the change. The effective date, say we want it to be on Monday, and save. And that's all I had to do for the purpose of making that change of a pay rise. You can have this form technology is the same as the requisition for, I imagine most of you, and I'm sorry if I'm making this assumption and it's the wrong assumption, most of you on the call would probably is fairly familiar with the admin of when you're actually customizing the, for example, the recruitment workflow, the requisition form. It's very, very, very customizable. You can create your own fields and all kind of dependencies between the fields, a lot of smarts, blah, blah, blah. All of that is available here for you. But on top of that, you're able to say for that field, I need to capture the current situation with this piece of data and the changes I would like to propose to make to that piece of data, such as the position, the remuneration in this case. Can I take some questions so far on this? Because this is really very important. If you understood so far, 100% the architecture, if you like, of this module, I feel that this would be more than enough for you to start to imagine how you would want to use it within your organization. This is really important, probably more important than the rest of the webinar, if you like. Can we take some questions, guys? Whatever it is, hit us with it.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one from Agnes. Is it possible to use change of conditions cross-boarding without starting from the org chart?
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to do it from there just because it covers everything. If I was to cancel this, we'll come back to it. When I say cancel, as in quit it, we can come back and open it again from here in a second. So we put so much effort into this question. We definitely did not want to pressure our clients to take up the org chart, although we would love you to. Please get in touch after this if you want to take it up. But certainly we did not want to, make our clients feel as if they have to take up something to take this up. We wanted it to be very nimble, and it's a complementary piece to the onboarding. As I was saying in the introduction, it's a very organic piece to the platform in terms of, what's next for the platform. Once we did the recruitment and onboarding, change of condition was very organic, and we wanted that to be taken up very naturally and quickly by everybody. And so we did, you can do it from a bunch of places. We created this, this is one place, we created this page specifically for that. So this is a console to show you all the change of conditions / offboarding / crossboarding, all of them here, and the status of each, and you can continue with them from here and do whatever you need to do. And you can change it, start the process from here, where you would basically be asked to select who the employee is and blah, 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 and then you go from there. Everything is the same, right? The other way of doing it is even from the employee database. If you find any employees, such as in this case, Eddie Stewart, by the way, it already tells us it's fully integrated with the employee database. It already knows there's a change of conditions happening. It shows it there. You go in here. We also show the fact that there's a change of condition. And there is also a life cycle tab in here that shows you any changes such as change of condition or offboarding or crossboarding will be there as well. So we built all of that to be able to, for me to say yes to your question. No question about it. Any employee here, you can start the process from there, or you can start the process from there. So we really made it very, very convenient that you can start it from a few places, just mindful of the data privacy. So from the manager's point of view, you want the managers to start the process. Then the question becomes, do you want the managers to be able to see all the employees or just the employees that belong maybe to their team, or probably none of the employees, meaning you don't want it to go into the employee database. And that's why we did even this. So when you come here as a hiring manager, by default, they don't see any of that. All they see is, for example, if the manager, manager X is the one who started the change of condition on Eddie Stewart, that's all they see. That's the only entry they see. So only the processes that they had started, if any. And then they go in here and they say, okay, I want to start a process, who the employee is, submit the request, gets approved, and whatever else needs to happen, we'll continue from there. So the answer is absolutely yes. And we will be delighted to work with you guys and set up a 2-week trial, 2-week free trial within your own account, so you can actually use it to its full capacity with real employees for a couple of weeks if you like to have a go at it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, that's really good. And there was a couple other questions that you covered in that as well, so that's great. We do have one from Carol, and you're probably going to go through this anyway. Can you demonstrate change of conditions from within the job ads and placement?
Within the job ad, I don't perceive there would be change of condition from the job ad. I'm so sorry. Maybe we're misunderstanding something there in terms of the.
So it's. So she just says, can you demonstrate change of conditions from within a job, an ad, or a placement? So maybe that.
Oh.
That's how she's worded it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we need to follow up a question from that. Let me just at least explain how I understand this. So the change of condition, we perceive it to be within the employee database, in a sense, on employees. You say, look, for this employee, we would like to change their, employment conditions, requirements, etc. from, let's say, I use the example casual to full-time. And advertising typically is when you're hiring someone new, unless you're. So can you please explain what the scenario here that maybe I'm misunderstanding, please?
Just wait till Carol gets back to us.
So in other words, the job and ads and all that, that's really related to recruitment. When you're recruiting someone, clearly for the purpose of either growing a team or you're replacing someone left, someone's leaving, etc. And that's what I mentioned before. You'll be able to start the recruitment. I mean, if you really want to hire someone internally, that's fine. You start the recruitment process still, and you then assign an existing employee to the job as a candidate, just like someone could be external, someone internal, multiple people from either internal or external, and then you put them through the recruitment process, and then you do business as usual, and they become now doing something else. You can do it that way, but maybe I'm misunderstanding the scenario.
So we've got Agnes who had just a little bit more explanation on that as well. So she goes, sometimes an existing employee will fill in an advertised position due to all their positions being advertised internally.
Okay, so we we have a position, one or more, let's say a position that is advertised internally. Okay, that's incidentally, that's what I sort of, the scenario that I guessed towards the end of my conversation. Let me wrap my head around this. So we create a recruitment process and we assign an employee against it. And the fact that it's done internally, you want internal people to apply to it. Okay. All right, let me see if that makes some sense. So if I'm creating a recruitment process because we're trying to fill a position, and we advertise it, say, on the internal job board that you've got on your intranet, and you can send an email to all your employees, even with a link to it to apply if they are interested, etc. You can do all that. That's something that we've had for a long time, as most of you know. So, for example, just for clarity with the posting, we have the public job board and we've got also the internal job board. So if I can find it here, that's it, my employee only job board. So let's say you've advertised it on your intranet via this and other mechanisms, sent email to people about it, etc. You've got some candidates internally who are employees, which is fine. Then they are part of sort of the recruitment process, business as usual. And what you're saying is what will happen to, it's interesting. Maybe I can't wrap my head around it, but I'm almost certain I've heard this before with a few clients, and I don't believe there was any issue. Maybe we can take this offline. I'm so sorry. I just can't wrap my head around this right now. I would have to spend maybe 15, 20 minutes going through the scenario, doing a demo. I think it would disrupt maybe this too much, but I think it's a great question. I acknowledge it 100%. Maybe we can take it offline, if that's okay.
Jess is on mute.
Jessie, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying to Carol and Agnes, I'll reach out to you after this, and awesome. we can set up a meeting there. And we do have one more question from Shreem. Once change of conditions is applied to an employee, does the workflow have capacity to forward the changes to their payroll system?
Yes. So with the payroll system, it depends on the payroll system whether we have. So as you know, I'm just going to use the word 25. Maybe there's more than 25. Let's say we've got integration with 5 different systems. I take the example of Orion. Very recently, we were able to, what I was saying before, the first level of integration that we did because of our specialization into recruitment and onboarding for years, leading to, say, the last few years, our interest with the integration was to create a new employee, to send the new details and get them create. So, technically speaking, from the integration lingo point of view, that's a create versus an update or a remove, meaning at offboarding, remove. So we were focusing on the create, and that's working with, as I said, at least 25 systems and all that. To do that, you need an update. Some systems probably don't have an update. Most of them do, I have to say, and we're rolling out now more and more update capabilities. Orion, for example, is probably the number one that is used amongst our clients. I don't know that space really well. I don't know why or anything, just happened to be. Nevertheless, we do have an update now. We're just rolling this out with a client as we speak. So for that, definitely we have the flow to make it happen, to push the changes, in other words, to the payroll system. We just need to, on a case-by-case basis, make sure the update with that particular vendor is open and we link it up nicely. I hope I'm not beating around the bush. I've answered the question directly.
Yep. No, they said, yep, that's perfect.
Okay. Any more questions, guys? Are we comfortable with the architecture of how the change of condition worked or works? Okay, very good. So why don't we continue now? If we go back here, We've got the change of condition. It's still in a draft approval, it tells us here, against Eddie. So we go and open the approval again so we can finally submit the approval. Okay, so that's ready to submit really. We just need to choose who the approver. This is all customizable in terms of if you need people to approve the changes, or if you don't even need to, we can set it up to be able to submit without even approval, or to force it to go through an approval. All of that is configurable 100%. So I'm going to submit it without approval. And so now the status changes to change of condition approved. From here, you're able to send the pack if you want to, for reflecting the new contract, to generate the new contract reflecting the changes that were just approved. So that works in the same way as the onboarding. In the onboarding, if you like, guys, and it's really important to explain it in case some of the people on this call not using the offer approval phase yet. So you do the request to hire, you start to talk to candidates, and then when you're ready to make an offer to someone, you move them to the finalization of the offer stage. That's when you capture what you negotiated with them, such as the final agreed to start date and final salary rate, whatever that might be. And then you submit those changes. You can have them approved if you like as part of that. But once they are captured, then when you go to onboarding, the contract will reflect that. So the contract will be pre-populated with the final details that were captured during the offer approval. So this is similar here. What we just approved is pretty much the offer approval, if you were to just make a parallel between that and the recruitment, because there's no such thing as a requisition in a sense. It's all in one. Here's the changes I want to make, have them approved. Okay, now I want to generate a contract to reflect that. The contract will pick up those changes that were approved. So it's pretty cool. So when you go to start pack process, just a matter of selecting the right pack. So I think we filter for you already on the packs. The pack has to have the right type as well. So it's filtered for me on those types packs. And I picked the right pack here. And the same thing, there could be a contract here that will have all the changes in it. There's no contract at all with this. So if we go back here, the pack is created. What I want to do now is view packs. This is the pack here. I can approve it manually just for the purpose of this. And now the process pretty much is completed. So the new contract was generated reflecting the changes that were approved. It was sent, a whole pack. So the contract and other stuff and whatever you want, business as usual, the same pack technology. We worked very hard on making sure it's extended, becomes generic enough to be used for the purpose of change of conditions and offboarding as well if needed. It used to be sort of more dedicated and glued to that one process, so we worked very hard to extend it. So you have all the technology, the pack technology that you're comfortable with and you know how to work with, all of it now is available for you for the purpose of change of condition. Just the only thing is when you're starting a new pack template, you need to flag it properly. Is that for the purpose of new recruiting or for the purpose of change of condition? A few different options will become available accordingly. That's it though. So now we know that there's a change of condition has taken place and it's awaiting pending BND there, the effective date. I think if I go here, it shows me the effective date. Yep, the effective date is in 4 days, it says. And no matter where I go now, if I go to the employee database, for example, no matter where I find, sorry about that, I've just done the Zoom outside of the system. Okay, I'm supposed to be doing the zooming here, but I was doing it on the pad on the laptop. So if I go now to, for example, do a shortcut, I can go into the employee from here. It's all reflected everywhere. So there's the change of condition. You click on that as a shortcut. It opens the tab here and shows you what's going on. And here's the effective date and everything. If I also go into the employee, to the life cycle tab or page that we talked about before, same thing. This is also now up to date. It shows you the effective date. It's got the orange color because it's fairly soon. I think we use 3 different colors. If something is in a month, it's green, and then orange, and then red if it's already a day before or something like that. So it's all reflected, all interconnected, the employee database, the life cycle page, and the org chart, all of them connected live. When you make a change from one place, it's reflected in the other places. Maybe we should take some questions now. Just before we do that, maybe I just want to point out that I'm sure a lot of you have noticed those 2 pages. We're replacing the employee search with a new one, and we're adding a dashboard. As you probably know, that the changes that we're making now, when we're talking to all of you to make sure you take advantage of them, the engagement field that you just saw, we interacted with before, it's overarching more than just an employee. It allows you to say, look, when you're hiring someone or people in your business, are they an employee? Because they might be volunteers. They might be an external contractor via an ABN or through a labour hire company or directly via an ABN. They might be a student doing research through their project at university. So there are engagement types more than just an employee. You could be engaging with someone. That's why we had to come up with a word that's overarching above an employee. We came up with the word engagement. So I'm engaged with someone. We're engaged with someone to help out in the business, in an employment capacity, in a volunteering capacity, in a student capacity, in an external contractor capacity. That's really what it is. So the reason I'm mentioning that, the dashboard will reflect that now. Once you start to use it properly, the dashboard will show you how many volunteers you have, how many employees you have. Yeah. And when you then will drill into the employees and say, okay, for the employees, how many full-time, how many part-time? So it's going to be very, very exciting when it's all working. And the same with the search, which is what we have here, the employee search, the current one. This will be replacing it. This will be a lot more faster. It's the brand new latest and greatest search technology. It's going to be instant, even if you have 1 million employees. And it will also use the new information that we're capturing right now that I've mentioned. So you can find the volunteers, not just the employees. Go into the employees, and because it's employees, then you can say, show me the full-time, the part-time, etc. You can drill into it like that. And it's ultra fast. Seriously, it's really scary how fast it is. You think it's all happening on your computer. It's not going to a server. It's really amazing. So we're really excited. This should be live in, I would like to say a couple of weeks, but it might be 6 to 8 weeks. Just other priorities came up that we feel need to be done before we roll these out. But it's all part of the employee life cycle. We're not really going outside of that. So you can play with it right now, get an idea of how it's going to work. But before what we feel it's going to be functional 100%, probably about 6 weeks.
Perfect. We just have a question from Rachel. Will the new search let you search on part names or still require the full name to find them?
I'm so sorry. I was distracted a little bit. Can you repeat that, Jess?
No worries. So Rachel's just asking, will the new search let you search on part names or still require the full name to find them?
Oh, okay.
So in the
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. There's a couple of things I would like to say about that. So that's Louis here. Do we have the thing? Yeah. So we've always had this, even in the current search, guys, in here when you're doing search. So for example, if I'm looking for Eddie, I can do Eddie, and that's going to find a bunch of Eddies clearly. If I'm doing, I can even do this. So from the search point of view, if you go into all filters and find the search here, which is the keyword search, there's a little eye there, click on it. It shows you all the different fuzzy search and things that you can do. It's full Boolean capability. So, you don't really have to. However, also, I really encourage you guys to use the universal search. It's way more superior when you want to, you're here and you go, okay, I need to find someone, because someone has called me on the phone and they said their name is Eddie, I'll just go in here. The chances are, if you've been talking to Eddie and stuff like that, it's going to be in your recent anyway. You go boom, straight to it. You would hardly need to search. It gave me the option for Eddie to either find them in the org chart. Can you see that little symbol there? Or to go into the employee database. So I can decide to go into the employee database record. This is really, really powerful, guys. And it's got a little help next to it. You hover over it and click on this, and it shows you the different capabilities. You can, for example, search on a mobile number by typing the last 3 or 4 digits. So someone called you, before you call them back, you want to know who they are. I don't know if I know some numbers. I'm going to try mine. 512021 021 512 0212. Can you? I'm going to write down. Sorry. 410512021. Okay, so 2021 for me. The last 4. 2021. Oh, I'm not in there then. I just type something random. Nevertheless, you start to type the last 2 or 3 or 4 digits in their mobile number. The chances are will come up if it's unique and all that. You can search on so many things in here as well. So definitely use it, particularly also for the jobs. You can search on the jobs. So if you've been, navigating between jobs, when I'm personally recruiting, what you end up doing for the day, let's say you're doing a full push of recruitment on a day, you end up flipping between about maybe up to 10 jobs and up to maybe 20, 30, 50 candidates, a few for those that you really want to speak to, send an SMS to call you back, try to call them. These are the people you really want to get to. And so when you, I'll just give you an idea. If I go into that job, go into here, into the candidates, and go into this candidate there. So when I'm back here, it's going to show me the job that you went to and the last candidate you went to. So I can very quickly go back to the job. Sorry, if I'm here and I go that job there, it's going to take me straight to that job. If I go now to the marketing manager and I go to candidates, if we've got any, we don't have any, that's fine. So if I go back here now, it's going to show me the marketing manager is the last one I went to and the floor is before it. So I can go back to the floor manager or I can go back to the marketing manager. It becomes like this crazy drop down that's got everything you need. It's super powerful, not just for the search purposes, which is really powerful in itself. So if I'm doing edit from here, which edit do you want? I want to go straight to the org chart edit, and then I'm here. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yep, very good. Yep. We have another one from Michaela. If this is not integrated with if this is not integrated with the payroll system, can we download contract changes to send to payroll?
Of course, absolutely. It's business as usual. Sorry, the person asking the question, are you using the onboarding at the moment? Can I, if you don't mind, ask that question? Is the answer?
No. Yeah, they're not.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, because what I was going to say, which is great, no issue at all. I was going to say it works in the same way, because you see the pack in here, it tells us it's a change of condition pack, and the type is there, contract variation, we call the type, as opposed to a new starter here for purpose of recruitment. So that's the type of the pack, new starter, and that's the name of the pack. Happen to call it the same. That's your own name. So we show you all of that in here. What I'm trying to say, they all come up in here. At the end of the day, they are a pack, but different type. And the reason I'm mentioning that, no matter what the type is, you can export it, and that will send you an email with that attached, and you can forward that to whoever you want. Also, so that's where the integration to payroll will happen if it's an update. Nevertheless, also you can automate it anyway, so you don't have to move a finger. So if you've got a pack template here, this is the new starter, that's the change of condition, doesn't matter which one. If I go into any of those templates, under the automation, I can decide, create an automation that as soon as the pack is completed, to forward it to this person and that person or multiple people. So beside the automation that you can do, SMS and email to different stakeholders and stuff, this could be one of them, to send it to the payroll automatically via an email as an attachment. You can set it up here so you don't have to even do it manually. If that answers your concern there.
Yep, that's perfect.
Awesome. Any more questions, guys? So really, from the admin point of view, if you've been using the onboarding, it's really the same thing. So when I'm creating a new pack template, I give it a name here, webinar, change of condition, and create. In here with the type, by default generic, I'll change it to contract variation. We call the type contract variation. We can call it change of condition, contract variation, same thing. So that is the type that you need for either cross-boarding or change of condition. And that's it. Everything else is the same. You just add item from the library. So when I go to my library, I've got access to any merge document. Merge document is just your contract, job offer, whatever it is. Business as usual. Everything is the same. All the skills that you might have acquired, up to this point of how to create a merge document and how to build a pack that's got a combination of a merge document such as the contract and videos and e-forms and all that. It's the same thing. It's just another pack with a different type, different category to it. And then when you're therefore picking which pack template you want to send, we filter on that type for you so you don't see clutter. So if you've got 5-6 packs for new hires purposes and 5-6 packs for contract variations, we don't show you 10, we show only 5 when you're trying to choose which one to send. From the admin point of view, that's one thing. The other thing is building the actual form, yeah? So also it's the same. That is the interesting thing about it. We worked very hard to build reuse. So you don't have to learn a new set of skills to do change of condition. So when you go to approval workflows, it's just another approval workflow, generically speaking. So when you're doing a new approval workflow, I'm going to call this webinar, similar thing, webinar change of condition workflow. The type is also here, change of condition or cross-boarding, and you click on save. It's the same capabilities. You can create fields from scratch, or you can add from the library. And it's the same capabilities, the dependencies and all that good stuff, it's all there. The changes of how many approvers you want, approver to, who's the approver to, is that the CFO, etc., where I can go and select maybe users automatically to it instead of you having to select who that is. So what users do I have here? So that's the CFO, for example, here. I'll select them. I'll say make it manual selected. All these capabilities that you're familiar with are all the same. You're just building a form for the purpose of change of condition. And because of that, we know that we can do for you. For example, the position could be part of the changes. So what you do is you say, I want to do the compare on it. That means it's going to show you on the left and right what the current position is and what the change that you're proposed to do, if any. Same with when I add the engagement type to this, I go from a library, engagement, and add that. And I would go and say, look, I want it to be mandatory. And so edit the field, make sure it's mandatory. Also, I want it to be, make sure it's got the current information, but also the proposed information next to it. So I choose to compare. But that is the only change between all the admin skills that you've got of how to build a requisition form for the purpose of recruiting. You will reuse everything. It's the same page from an admin point of view, with just tiny small changes. We will give you a hand if you want to get started, and as we're setting up that trial for you, and you'll be able to kill it. There's a couple of small changes. 99.9% is the same. I don't know what else we need to cover here. The offboarding was on the agenda. So if we go back to the org chart, it really works in the same way. One thing I want to note here, so let's say we've got now, if we're doing the offboarding now, can I do offboarding? The effective date is not there, it might not let me do it. The effective date is in the future in 4 days. Let me see if it does not let me do it. That's fine, we'll find someone else. If I'm doing offboarding for Lewis Dest, it's the same thing. Another form will come up, and the form is the same form technology we talked about. And you can have whatever information here, such as things that you need for deprovisioning purposes to remind people. So you create that multi-choice drop-down and say, make sure they're deprovisioned from that system and that system and that system and the access card, and maybe even return the car they drive and whatever else. You can have all that in here. The manager will submit all that information. So in the automation that we will be doing very, very soon, as I mentioned before at the beginning, you'll able to send the automation straight away to the IT folks, but in there, they'll be in the email, they can click on the link and they can see the provisioning, the deprovisioning requirements. That's the piece that's coming through now. You can do all that now in the change of condition and the onboarding, because the chances are you have a pack, and we have all the automations for the packs against the packs. In the offboarding, what we've learned from a lot of you so far, speaking with you guys about it, a lot of you said no need for a pack. And so you want all the capabilities of the automations, but without having the pack. And that's what's coming through in the next few weeks. That initiative's already begun. Within a few weeks, 4 weeks at the latest, it'll be live. So have the offboarding approved, and then immediately there's automations that will be set off straight away like that. They'll be in play to the IT people, to procurement, to whoever, to CFO, to etc. And back to the question from before, integration with payroll as well. If you want to automatically flag them that they are leaving, and here's the effective date as well, can be pushed then to the payroll system to sync it to. So that would be the third function. So you got the create, the update, and the remove, I guess, or the offboard. And we're 100% prepared to make it work with all these vendors we've been working with. I'm almost certain they all have that capability. We're just on a need to know to do basis right now. It's been the last thing that we're sort of doing now. Does that make sense, guys? Is there anything that you feel I haven't covered as part of this agenda that we wanted to talk about, which is how you deal with the rest of the life cycle? I guess the question, that's how we started to think about this 4 or 5 years back. You've recruited someone, you've onboarded them successfully, you've notified all the stakeholders to make sure the onboarding is successful. Now you want to do performance reviews, and you want to do pay increase, and you want to change the conditions of employment from, say, casual to full-time, or you want to offboard people, etc. That's the rest of the life cycle. This is how we saw it in our heads, and we felt that's the natural organic piece. To be honest, that was coming from our clients, from you guys. We don't just dream of an idea that doesn't make sense for you just because we like it, we're going to do it. We started to have these conversations and these requirements from the clients, and we felt it's very, very organic, and that's why we took on this this project. Started about 3 years ago. So we've got now, if you want to know where we're at with it, 99% of every new client that's coming onto the platform is taking on the full employee life cycle, the core HR capability. And more than 90% taken on the org chart as well. But certainly the employee life cycle, we call part of the core HR, the employee database, and the full employee life cycle, and all that is being taken on by new clients in the last sort of 6 months now, at least 99%. From the existing client's point of view, every quarter, at a minimum, 5 to 10 clients are taking on this feature. That's where we're at, and we're improving it and and making it more and more robust and adding more functionalities and flexibility to it as we hear more requirements and stuff as we're doing it. We're always open to have the conversation and make sure when we hear that, that's not going to work for me, I need this or I need that, we go back to the drawing board, we create that capability, and we make it happen very, very quickly. So that's where we're at with it. Very, very exciting. And if you guys are interested, if you have any questions, reach out to Jesse. But also we've hired another account manager I would love to introduce on the session in Jasmine. Jasmine worked in recruitment for about 12 months, and so she understands the space pretty well, the HR space. She was part of an HR team, internal recruitment, I should have said. And so she understands HR pretty well, and she will be managing also about 75 accounts. I'm going to send an email pretty soon to introduce her to those accounts, but please reach out to Jasmine or to Jesse or to the support team. In support now, we've hired more people in there. The support, in my opinion, if you disagree, I apologize in advance. It's running really beautifully under the leadership of Ben. Ben has been with us for about 7 years as a senior exec in our business. The support guys report to him. And we've got 2 people full-time in the implementation team as well. So the client success team now is 8 people. Very, very solid team. We've never had that many people in client success between account managers, support, and implementation. So all these people are available for you. Whatever you need, the clients always come first. Whatever you need, we will assign someone and to you and make sure we fix the problem if you're having any problem. And if you would like to trial this, we will assign someone to work with you to set up the trial for you and leave you with it for a couple of weeks.
And we do have a couple more questions as well, just before we go. Yep. Chris is asking, could you please explain what effect the effective date and the end date has on the org chart as a part of the offboarding process?
Okay. Yes, good point. So when you've got an effective date, let's say if that was a change of condition in this case, in 4 days' time, it's going to disappear. So this becomes a normal employee. And it means there'll be nothing here, just like, for example, there. Same thing with the offboarding. So if this person is leaving, they stay here, but we indicate the effective date, and at the effective date, they disappear from the org chart. Oh, right. So that's the question I guess you're asking. Yes, good point. Yeah, they would disappear at the effective date.
Very good. And that was Artie as well. She said that would be our question too, bulk upload or import employee data.
Yeah, we've worked with a number of clients recently. The importing tool right now is in a very, very good place. I'm really happy with that. As a matter of fact, for the purpose of updating, you can even export it very quickly. Oops, I keep doing the zooming from the wrong place. So if I was to go here and click on export, that exports the data from here. But we've done, you can also save to list. So if you want to go to everybody under this department and save it to a list, we add every employee under here into a list. So you can go quickly and say, I want to send a bulk SMS or bulk email to that list. That's a really good feature we've added recently. I'm sorry, to go back to the question though, why this is related, the import tool, which starts from here, I'm very, very happy about whatever data that you have, we will be able to work with you on. So there's a couple of options in here and it's really solid. One of the clients we worked with is just over 1,000, about 1,200 to 1,300 employee client in the automotive industry out of WA. Amazing HR team over there. And we worked with them on the import requirements that they had, and we improved the import as we went along. And a few clients around the same time as well took advantage of that import tool. It's in a very good place. Whatever data that you've got, we will be able to work with it. It's very, very simple in terms of what we require. If you look at this here, for example, what we're saying here in this option is, we can download an example. We provide an example, a sample. It doesn't have data, it's just got the columns. So I'll show you what that is. So, is that the one? There. Let me just zoom on it a little bit. I'll just expand those so we can see them properly. Can you guys see, is that large enough?
Yeah.
Cool. So it's really the employee ID, and that's your own internal employee ID, and that's not even required, it's optional. Yeah. So if it's coming out, you're doing an export from your own payroll or system that you have, it would be good to bring that internal employee ID. It's a very good asset to have, because later when you want to make a changes, for example, a change of conditions, as we were saying before, and we want to link with the payroll system, we can then say, oh, the changes, by the way, are against this employee ID. So same if we go back to the question of integration with payroll, something I should have mentioned, part of what we've done, for example, with Orion, when we send that first request to create an employee, let's say during recruitment, we've made it now whereby they give us the internal employee ID in exchange. So, yep, it's been created, and by the way, here's the employee ID. We store it against our employee in the platform. So subsequent changes or offboarding, we can send that request based on that employee ID. And this is why this would be interesting, but it's not even mandatory if you don't have a system at the moment and if you don't need it. So what's mandatory is just name, last name, one of those emails, and the position ID is not even important, just the position name, it's not mandatory, the position name and the position of the person they report to. That is it. We've got other option where you want also the person they report to. But in this, remember there was a couple of options. We selected one option. In this one, it's so simple. Name, last name, email, what their position is, and what's the position of the person they report to. Because in this example, we assume your organization is whereby you won't have two managers with the same position. If it is the case, same position, multiple managers, then we will require who the person is as well. So reports to position, reports to person, meaning name and last name. And it's simple as that. Everything else that we can import, which is tons of other stuff, such as their remuneration information and all that, will be, it's not even mandatory. But we would love to be able to import the current REM as well. So for example, if it's permanent full-time, then it would be the salary required. If it's a contract, what's the rate? What's the end date? That kind of thing. It's very simple rules like that, and we can just import it. Also, you can. Sorry, Jess, go.
Just a quick one from Agnes on that. Is the import tool available without the org chart module?
Yeah, the import employees has always been around. I'll just show you. So we happen to start this from here, but under the employees tab, we've always been able to import for 5 years probably now. To import your employees, you go here, import candidates or employees, and there's a couple of options there to do it as well. It works beautifully. You can bring with you as well so much data. It doesn't have to be just information about the employee, meaning contact information stuff. It could be any data that you can create equivalent custom fields against the employee in our platform and import it straight in. So for example, the site where they are working and the blah, 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 whatever it is that you want to bring in. During COVID, very large client of ours imported their data quickly, and they used our capability for bulk SMS and email to communicate with different sites about changes in response to the COVID situation and stuff like that. So that's always been available. And we'd love to help you with that. Get in touch and we will help you to use it.
Very good, very good. And one more from RT, just on, it's just gone to my poll. Just on the employee exit and the automatically disappearing function, can the workflow be set up with conditions so that only after certain fields are completed, for example, equipment returned, etc., does it show as exit completed and they disappear from the system, even though they have passed their actual exit working day?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. We're still learning about all these things. Believe me, they're very small tweaks. Definitely, if you're interested, let's talk. And these are common sense will prevail. All these great features like that, they make sense. And that's what we're doing as we speak. More than 20 different things being developed. I like it. can't see exactly all the details, but at high level, I can see what you're saying there. Yeah, sure. Just just to know, when we say disappears, only disappears from the org chart. The employee will remain in the employee database and will be flagged to become an ex-employee, and you can always clearly go back therefore and see all the history, including the offboarding process and all that against their record, just for clarity. But I understand what you're saying as well.
Okay, very good.
We've done well today. We're right on time. I feel that we've covered, from my point of view anyway, I hope you agree with me, we've covered, we've covered a decent amount of information on the topic and features and stuff and questions. I would...
Very good. And
sorry.
I just want to say we had a really lovely comment from Annalise and Chris in the comments today. Saying, I have to say, I love the support you guys provide there at Martian Logic. Thank you so much. You guys are such a wonderful team.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor. And, during COVID, I'm sure a lot of you on this call, you're in HR yourselves, and you know the situation with hiring people and keeping people, not just hiring people, was challenging. So our support probably suffered a little bit. We've had a bit of a 4 weeks probably in a row. Support would have been running really, really late. People not being get back to for a week or two. Was very, very tough time for all of us to operate a business, as you know. And I'm really pleased to say in the last 6 months right now, the changes that we've been making and improvements and where we're at right now, I don't think it's perfect. I think our standards are still above where we're at, but I would like to think it's night and day. It's we're in a very, very solid situation right now.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Any other questions from anybody, or just as I think we're just on the hour? So
one, if you do me a favor, guys, there's a survey that we ask all the time. It really, in my opinion, it's a funny thing I always say. It's like money talks and bullshit walks. When you go to a restaurant and you leave and then someone says, oh, how was it? And you go, oh, yeah, it was nice. The wine was good. The bread was nice. And then they ask you the question, would you go back? That's, to me, is like money talks and bullshit walks. The equivalent here is, would you recommend this feature to someone else, to another HR friend or to another company? So that's the question we try to ask. That's what it comes down to. We would love if you guys, for you to thoughtfully, please, exactly how you feel, answer or fill out that survey. It's very quick, takes a second. Just literally one question, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on a scale from 1 to 5, how likely are you to recommend our COSC, our offboarding, to friend or colleague?
Beautiful. So please, if you can, all of you fill it out, I would be very grateful, because we used, clearly, that's the insight that we have about not just, I guess, how you feel the module is, but also how this even webinar was conducted, because clearly if I did not explain it properly, you would have been not going to recommend it either, I guess, or understand it. So it means a lot to us. And if you want to reach out, guys, you're absolutely welcome, even directly to myself. I would be absolutely more than happy to work with you. I'm working with, as we speak, with more than 15 clients. Every day I've got 2 meetings with clients every single day. So I would love to work with you on a health check on your account. If you feel something's not working, you want to reconfigure the onboarding, you want to reconfigure the change of condition, the requisition process, etc. I would love to work with you on that. And I'll bring in one of the implementation guys to help us out. So don't be shy, reach out.
Very good. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate your time. I hope you found it useful. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.